Welcome back to the Isak saga. Fresh reports coming out today that Jamie Reuben and a representative from PIF sat down with alexanderIsak at his home last night to negotiate him returning to the club and reintegrating into the squad. It appears today, reports from Lee Ryder at the Telegraph, that Isak will not be returning to training and that he will continue his strike. He's probably sat at home with his Liverpool robe on. He's got a full kit, living the dream, waiting for that move to Anfield. So it looks like he is holding out for that final bid from Liverpool to come in to get this move done before the window ends. Now, I know Liverpool are firmly in a stance of they will not pay 150, and I believe Newcastle are in a soft stance of saying they want 150. I think anywhere in the region of double your money. So I'd say 125, 135. I think that's the ballpark in which we'll sell. But there has to be a replacement through the door. And a replacement for Isak, not for Wilson. I still think this saga continues until somebody comes in as a replacement for Isak. I think the Wissa deal will get done. Touch and go, but it will get done. It seems like Brentford are making moves now to sign another striker, and the dominoes kind of will fall into place. It seems like it's Dortmund's Maximilian Bayer who will be swapping life in Germany for sunny Brentford. It's a funny one with Isak. I think he appears to be holding all the cards, but realistically, with the contract the way it is and him having to stay, he has to stay relevant. He can't go a season without playing football. I don't think he can even go till January without playing football. And I think unless we find the replacements, which we seem to be struggling to do, then highly unlikely that he moves. I'm still firmly in the stance that I think he'll stay. I still think essentially Isak has tried to use the club as a stepping stone, and we all understand that. He's come to Newcastle to raise his profile. It's another step in his journey. Dortmund to Sociedad to Newcastle to wherever he wants to be to reach the levels of Champions League titles and Ballon d'Ors and whatever his aspirations might be. But there comes a point where we all understand the player wants to use a club as a stepping stone. But there is a point where a club needs to use a player as a stepping stone. And at the moment, Alex Isak is our stepping stone. Without replacement, we need him to elevate the level of this team in order for us to achieve a certain status in the league. Now, I think Champions League this year I think it's a hard one. I think it's a very tough one for us to be going into a Champions League season and playing in the Champions League with the squad we've got, bearing in mind, and achieve a Champions League place in the league. Now, I think a successful season would be a decent run in the Champions League, maybe competing for a trophy in the Carabao Cup again or an FA Cup, and a top 7, top 6 finish, something around there, so that we're still competing on a European front. But realistically, unless we get players through the door, which I fully expect in this next 8 days, I think it is, that's left of the transfer window, I expect us to sign a striker. I'm not sure whether that will be an Isak replacement or a Callum Wilson replacement, but I think we get a deal done. The tough bit will be whether we manage to get 2 deals done. Now, I know reports are Strand Larsen yesterday, the bid was rejected. £50 million from Wolverhampton. Personally, if I was a Wolverhampton fan, the last thing I'd want to see is Strand Larsen go to Newcastle at the moment. I think they're in a struggling position. Having sold Cunha to Man United as well, it's a tough one for them. Personally, if I were them, I wouldn't be willing to let Strand Larsen go. Not without a viable option lined up who you know can come straight in and hit the ground running. And I like Strand Larsen. I think he's a good player. I think he'd fit into our team quite well. The Wissa deal, I think, like I said, it's a bit of a dominoes. People have to move in order for Wissa to leave Brentford. Brentford, I think, are still reluctant. I know the manager's reluctant. Andrew said he wanted to keep Wissa and Wissa owes him something, which is fair enough. The same thing, I wouldn't put it past Brentford to hold out as long as they can and try and drive the price up. It's the same thing that I'd expect us to do when it comes to Isak. There has been an outside shot that I heard from Ben Jacobs on TalkSport today. And while Newcastle aren't actually pursuing this, it's kind of a striker target that I would love to have at our club. But I don't think wages-wise is achievable. But apparently Juventus had offered Newcastle Dusan Vlahovic on a cut price, £30 million. The problem is, I believe his wages are somewhere in the region of €429,000 a week, which I believe is like 360, which is way out of our ballpark. You know, the highest paid reported is, I think, Bruno Guimaraes on 160,000 a week. You know, we're different leagues. But the same thing, I really think, on last night's performance, we've got nothing to worry about as long as we can get a striker or two strikers through the door. If the Isak deal happens, fantastic. I think we're all done with this now. It's starting to become a saga that's just becoming boring. It's I'm fed up of hearing about Isak and talking about Isak. He's a pain at the moment. It's either get the deal done, get the money for him, let him go, let's move on, or make him understand that he has to come back to training, he has to do his job, and the options aren't there for him unless he does. I think in the long run, I'd still prefer to sell him overseas. I don't think there's a viable option for him to go to. I did read something today about when Isak was 17, 18, I think it was 17, he had the chance to move to Real Madrid and he agreed personal terms with Real Madrid. And last minute, he pulled out and changed his mind and went to Borussia Dortmund because of their reputation for developing young players. There's a little bit of me that strikes me that maybe the move to Madrid wasn't all because of Borussia Dortmund developed great young players, because Real Madrid developed great young players as well. But there's part of me that thought, by all accounts, I think he was a Barca fan as a kid, and grew up watching Spanish football more than the Premier League, because the Premier League wasn't the league that was viewed or was shown on TV in Sweden. So there's a bit of me that feels like Barca would be the perfect destination for him. Now, realistically, Lewandowski is on the end or tailing of a great career. And I think Isak would be a fantastic signing for Barcelona, but they are financially a mess. That club is all over the place, not being able to register players because they can't pay wages and all sorts of drama. But if they could sort themselves out, I think if ever that option came up, or if ever that offer came in, I I think regardless of the Liverpool talk, I think Barcelona probably would be the preferred destination. But yeah, so it's going to continue. The saga will continue. I still think we don't sell him. I think this will drag on for another 8 days until the window closes. I'm sure Liverpool will come in with a bid before the end of the 8 days. It wouldn't surprise me if that bid is, I don't know, in before Friday. I think maybe bid in before Friday, just to test the water or to see if there's any room for negotiation. If Newcastle have kind of swayed after this talks last night at Isak's house. So overall, let me know what you think down in the comments. Liverpool fans included, because you've been writing on the comments today. And let me know whether you think Isak is the right move for Liverpool as well. Because I personally don't believe he is. I still think you need Mark Gahey and a defensive midfielder. But if you're prioritising defender over striker or striker over defender, which is it for you? Newcastle fans, let me know, who do you think we should sign? What do you think happens? And where do you think we go from here? If you like the content, give me a sub, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.